There are a few tools that you can use to really get your mix to sound like the pros. And it's more important now than ever now that all of our music is on Spotify and your song can be up against the greats in someone's specific playlist. If this is your first time here, I'm Andrew Barr with Producing in the Box, where I teach you how to make incredible sounding music without analog gear, all completely in the box. I want to give you a kickstart to producing music. I have the Mom in the Car compression checklist. That uses the analogy of Mom in the Car as compression, and it really helped me start to feel compression more than I was hearing it. Just scroll down right now and click the top link in the description and you can download that for free. So now let's jump on into the DAW. So I have this country track that sounds like this. And it sounded really good. Everything is sitting in the mix well like it's supposed to. Everything is sounding wide. So now I'm going to play that mix back again, and I'm going to use this plugin to center everything into the middle. So that way I'm mixing in mono. And listen to the difference when this plugin is engaged. Everything kind of opens up. Things start to spread out in the stereo field and things sound great. But even when this plugin is engaged, it still sounds pretty decent. Now, there are a ton of tools that you can use to get more stereo imaging, but that's not really what I'm into. I like to do it as natural as I possibly can to avoid any phase issues. And hands down, the best way to do this is to double track all of your takes. I'm talking vocals, guitars, anything that sits higher up in the frequency spectrum. Things like a kick drum and a bass is good in mono because you'll start to really get phase issues if things start to go in stereo. But anything that starts to hit the higher frequencies is great to duplicate, pan one hard left, and pan one hard right. So let's just take a look at some of these rhythm guitars. I have quite a few of them here, just a couple tracks, and I have them panned left and right. So now I didn't just copy this and duplicate it down, or otherwise it would just make the same track louder. What I did was I actually re-recorded this guitar part twice, once for the left and once for the right. That's because we as humans are a little bit imperfect when it comes to our music making. Those slight imperfections is what makes it sound nice from the left ear to the right ear, and it gives you that stereo image. You can also do this for the effects. So a stereo channel is essentially two channels, just one in the left and one in the right. So I have stereo channels for these guitars. So I am using a left input, but it's going into a stereo channel. So the guitar is in the center, and then the effects can be used in stereo. And here's what this lead guitar sounds like. So we have a delay and a reverb and some stereo imaging plugins here on the guitar track. So even though it's a mono source, I am using stereo effects. Things start to open up and widen out. So stereo imaging is great, but you have to be careful with one thing: phasing issues. Phasing is where waveforms are going up in the left ear and then down in the right ear, or vice versa, and they start to cancel each other out and you get some weird phasey sounds. You can use a correlation meter to make sure everything is staying in the green. So the farther this is in the green, the more you are mono compatible, and the farther this is to the left, the more you're going to have phase issues when you switch back to mono. This is a free plugin called Span. It's absolutely fantastic. I love it. And you can just use the correlation meter down here to make sure that your mixes will work in mono. So even when I was switching from mono and back into stereo, there was a little bit of a difference here, and that's okay. As long as you are in the green, you are good to go. Start double tracking your guitars, your vocals, and start using stereo effects, but make sure that you constantly check that correlation meter to make sure everything will still work in mono. This is just one of many mistakes that producers make, but there are 3 beginner producer mistakes that you want to avoid. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, click this video right here. In that video, I show you the 3 common mistakes that beginner producers make and how you can avoid them on your next track. So click here to watch that video now, and now as always, go create.